Namaste and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. We join and we speak on this Monday edition, ladies and gentlemen, on a very, very historical day. A day when the Prime Minister, on Teachers' Day, has committed to turning nearly 1,500 schools into model schools under the new National Education Policy. It's a day when he has said that a man who gave up everything for the kartavya towards his Matrubhumi and towards the country and to the dream of an Azad Hind, that is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and there till all our parliamentarians, the parliament, the central vista, will be committed not as a Raj Path where you are going to rule and the path of the Raj, but as a Kartavya Path, as duty towards the country. That is the commitment and the vision that India is taking forward under the leadership of the Prime Minister. And he may go tomorrow, he may not be the Prime Minister, but Kartavya will remain. The aspirations of our society will remain. The contours of a Naya Bharat will remain over the next 25 years. In any civil society, ladies and gentlemen, we have fringe, we have radical elements, but that's what they are supposed to be, fringe, radical elements. But tonight, on this special edition of The Right Stand, we bring to you, and this is Teachers' Day, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you something that will shock you, ladies and gentlemen. Something that will make you wonder what happens to society when fringe becomes the mainstream, when radicals start having a free run, and then those who believe that they can go back to the medieval ages and call for butchering, call for this sartan se juda, or modify the lingo in a legal framework as hang him or hang her. Behead, anyway, take the head off, legally or illegally. That's where we're going to go. That's the exclusive that we have. This is what leaders are, this is what leaders of a society, those who are supposed to be theological leaders, are teaching the women of society. We have this exclusive video from Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, and this is from a mosque in Islamabad in 2020. And what you see in the pictures should shock you and make you wonder, where is this society heading to? And is this where the entire vitriol is being poured into India via social media? We have here on our channel in the past explained to you that this Sar Tan Se Juda syndrome has been exported from Pakistan into India. It's sad but true that there are many falling to this. But the reality is that they are turning women who are supposed to be nurturers, Prakriti, the aspect that breathes life. Our earth is Bhumi, Ma. They are being drilled. What is being drilled into them is to butcher, Sar Tan Se Juda. They are saying that's being drilled into their head, Gustake Rasool ki ek hi saza, Sar Tan Se Juda. The audio, very, very graphic, ladies and gentlemen. So we're just showing you the video, even parts of the video, very, very graphic. And that's why some elements may be blurred. But what they are being told, inside the Lal Masjid. Masjid is a place for prayer. What happens when radicals have a free run is what you are seeing now. Should this be allowed into Indian society? How can we stop this? These are questions that arise when we see this, because what is happening over in Pakistan is being exported deviously into Hindustan. It is not supposed to be allowed. It is not in our nature. Our culture is to include, is to nurture, is to grow. That's our culture, our dharma, our kartavya. Should this be allowed in Indian society? This is what they are saying. This is the Azmat-e-Rasool conference that was held in 2020. The chants that you can hear in this video are Sar Tan Se Juda, as they are being trained to butcher, to behead. And the war cry origin has come from Pakistan is what agencies are totally confirming, ladies and gentlemen. This is the video which makes us wonder, is this what people, the next generation, youngsters, women, people in society should be drilled and taught? What kind of theological basis is allowing this? Muslims across the world should stand up. Muslims in India, Muslims in Pakistan need to stand up and say, this is not the interpretation. This is not how we need to see society. More importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we as Indians collectively need to stand up against this syndrome and not allow it to breed, take root, shoot here in India. We'll get into the discussion, but there is a historical perspective. This whole Sartan Se Juda syndrome in Pakistan also started towards the turn of the end of the decade over the millennium. In 2011, this is when it started, when the Pak Punjab governor was assassinated by Mumtaz Qadri. Mumtaz Qadri had taken to the streets because he had opposed the governor and he wanted to he beheaded the governor because the governor opposed the blasphemy law. What is this concept of blasphemy in the times of free speech, free will, expression, etc.? Yes, they come with restrictions and there should be the rule of law and order. So this entire aspect started in 2011. Qadri led these protests with this entire Sartan Se Juda chant. Qadri died in 2020 and this entire war cry has been then appropriated by the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan. 2011 to 2020, the fanatics and the fringe started gathering ground and nearly getting 11 to 17 to 20% vote shares in local elections and becoming a very, very strong component of society there. With more and more rabid forces, you had the men chanting Sartan Se Juda and the women now being trained to behead inside mosques. And that syndrome has been exported into India. We will talk about what's happening in India first, but more importantly, should this not be outrightly rejected is the question. And the other aspect, does this not go beyond proof that this entire aspect of Sartan Se Juda, this fanatic, radical thinking, linear thinking, which is medieval, back to the medieval ages, and pushing barbarism and drilling barbarism or trying to train women who are nurturers into being butchers, is a Pakistan-driven syndrome? Is this not proven beyond doubt? That's the question that we ask as we go across to our guest this evening. Joining us this evening, we have Mr. N.K. Sood, former officer, RNAW. We have Tariq Fatah, author and columnist, Subuhi Khan, lawyer and activist, Amina Begum Ansari, political analyst. My namaste to everybody. Thank you very much. Tariq Fatah Sahab, I want to start with you. Do you see this also growing wherever there is a Pakistani footprint or wherever these fanatics have a footprint across the world? Or is this something unique to Pakistan and then now Hindustan?
Well, you see, wherever you go in the Islamic world, you will notice people are adhering to the land, the culture, the history. So a Turk is a Turk is a Turk. A Persian is a Persian guy. People in Java follow their traditions, very different aspect of Islam. People in in North Africa are different, and the roots of that culture are embedded within the people with a layer of what their religion teaches them or that encapsulates them. It is only in India and Pakistan that the Muslim does not connect with the soil, the language, the heritage of that land. And so the Muslim of the subcontinent is cut off from any linkage to poetry, to the rivers that flow, the history, the 5,000-year history of Hindustan. They cannot relate to Mohenjo-daro, they cannot relate to Takshila, they cannot relate even to the river Indus, let alone India. So within their personalities is a vacuum that can only be filled with hatred of the Hindu and the notion that Roz-e-Qayamat or the end of times will not come till Ghazwa Hind is done and all Hindus are either converted to Islam or killed, and all Hindu temples will be destroyed, and that will be the day that what we believe is Roz-e-Qayamat, and everyone will take their connecting flights to paradise. Because we don't have regional identity, we cannot link to river or a music or anything. So we are second-hand flea market Turks, we are second-hand Arabs, we are second-hand Persians, and that is why you will never find an Indian or a Pakistani Muslim especially in the main areas, with an Indian name. You will find Baloch, names like Baramdar, or in the Pashtuns, you have Afrasiab and all that. But the main Urdu-speaking center of which people think that Urdu is the root to Islam, not a single person has ever named the child after an Indian name. They will go Turkish, Persian, whatever exotic thing they can find. They cannot relate to the river, the land, the mosam, the food, even though they eat the same style as the non-Muslim, but they will always find it some way to differentiate or put down the non-Muslim as the kafir. And as long as it is permitted to relate other people as kafir, and the word concept of jihad is there, I'm afraid whether it is women or men, this fight will go on because nobody has stood up to them yet.
No, because there are many calls to legally ban these words from our lexicon or even from usage and make it punishable by law. Words like kafir, words like sartan se juda, words like beheading, blasphemy, etc. But the other aspect is also the call to be made to the clergy, to the Muslim society in India, that the moderates need to come out and speak up. They need to come out and say this is a wrong interpretation, portrayal, and this cannot be allowed to gather voice. And they should collectively come and say we outrightly reject it. It's welcome that a lot of people are doing it, but do you believe that collectively this needs to be done? Tariq Fatah Saab. The other thing is that did Pakistan make a mistake by wiping off their history before 1947 and not teaching it?
Of course they made a mistake. You're asking me, should I speak of? I'm saying they made a mistake. But the mistake was made by the Muslims of UP and Bihar. The people who live in Pakistan didn't ask for Pakistan. Your frontier had a Congress government. Balochistan was independent. Sindh was under a Congress premier who was assassinated by the boys of Aligarh. Who wanted Pakistan? UP and Bihar and Bhopal and all those people who consider Pakistan, as Abul Kalam Azad said, these Pakistanis are primitive people. Why are you going there? They had, and that is why they imposed the Urdu language on a country where only 5% of the people spoke Urdu. So you had the genocide in Bangladesh, where Muslim Pakistan army soldiers killed 10 million Bengalis, Muslims, because they were dark-skinned and they spoke Bangla. And the ruling classes of the Urdu Punjabi domination said, Bangla is a Hindu language. The script is Hindu. We cannot accept this. So the disgust at their own physical, cultural surroundings is in contradiction to what they do every day. And that will never come up till a government like India facilitates liberal, progressive, practicing Muslims to form their own agency, where the mullah is not part of the game. What happens is, no matter who governs India, they deal with only the mullahs. They don't deal with Sabui Khan to tell the government of India what to do with Muslims or what should be the policy. No. They get the ugliest and the most ridiculous ideas of people who believe earth is flat into the Prime Minister's office and they sit and talk. This is the problem. India will have to facilitate a platform of liberal, progressive Muslims for whom Ambedkar's constitution is above everything else.
True. Tariq Fatah Saab, I'm going to take it to our other panelists and then I'll come back to you, because we have to look at multiple aspects to this entire dynamic. But more importantly, the video itself is a shocker. Subui ji, welcome to the Right Stand. I know you're joining us for the first time. Good to have you with us. Let me ask you, did it shock you when you saw these
Thank
videos?
you so
because
much.
In Jammu and Kashmir, in Jammu and Kashmir, we have the administration, the Prime Minister himself had suggested it once or twice that the women are the nurturers. So anybody who takes to the gun, they are urging the women in the household to nurture the kids and telling them don't fall for these rabid fanatics and don't fall for this brainwashed narrative, etc. And everywhere it all begins at home, and it is the mothers, it is the women who are looked up to say कि आप सही तालीम दीजिए, सही तरबियत दीजिए, all of this. Now here inside the Lal Masjid, दूसरा तो मस्जिद के अंदर, that girls are being taught how to butcher somebody or behead somebody.
Yes, yes. Anandji, thank you so much. It is actually a pleasure to be on your show. You have asked a very pertinent question. I always say that terrorists are not made overnight. There is a specific strategy which is being followed. And as we say that women, the creator, the nurturer, when they are being converted or they are being brainwashed into becoming a terrorist, it is really high time for Muslim society to sit, think, introspect, and actually accept that, there is some mistake that we are committing as a society. Forget political parties or different institutions for a moment. I, as a Muslim youth, say with full responsibility that Muslims are brainwashed to be a separatist. रातों रात आतंकवादी नहीं बन जाते हैं. A Muslim kid is taught that you have a different language, you cannot listen to music, you cannot dance, you cannot play holy. If you will apply colors on your body, Allah Ta'ala will burn you in hell. That kind of a fear psychosis is created in a young mind in their formative years. And once a mind has become a separatist, they will not have many friends. They will think themselves like we are from others. After they become a separatist, the second stage is to make them extremists. In that stage, they are taught whatever you're thinking is right, whatever you think is right, and everybody else is not correct. Their opinion does not matter. They do not have a right to choose. They do not have a right to live a different lifestyle. They are wrong. Only you are right. So that kind of an extremist mindset is made. Final stage is of making a Muslim person a terrorist. In that stage, they are being taught whatever you think is right, and it is your duty to convert others to that opinion. If you succeed in doing that, then you will get Jannat. Then there is graphic details of Jannat, 72 Hure, and Shahad ki nadiyan, Doodh ki nadiyan. So I always say that fear, psychosis in the name of religion, and greed, lalach in the name of religion is being used to manipulate young minds, to brainwash them in becoming terrorists. These people have nothing to do with Islam. They just want to use religion for political gains. And I have to make correction here. We need to understand that this is an ideology from Pakistan. Gustakh-e Rasool ki ek hi saza, Sartan se Juda. Sartan se Juda is not happening now. It is something new. The history of Sartan se Juda is as old as the history of Islam itself. The problem is that most of the Muslims do not know this history. After Prophet Mohammed ﷺ's death, there was a dispute in regards to his legacy, that who will become his successor, because he had no surviving son. So Islamic society was divided in two parts. There was one part of society wanted to use Islam for political gains. And there was one part in Islamic society, they wanted to practice Islam in its spiritual sense, to elevate their consciousness. So they were actually real successors of Prophet Mohammed ﷺ, but they did not get their rightful position because they did not fight, because they did not take swords in their hands. So now, collectively, Muslim society should go and read the history of Islam. We do not know the history of Islam. Sartan se Juda, Islam के नाम पर, Prophet के नाम पर कब से हो रहा है? हम जानते ही नहीं है. हमारे बच्चों को मानसिक गुलाम की तरह इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है. वो एक Islamic State की ideology, and this is being repeated again and again because the history repeats itself until and unless we understand and rectify the mistakes that we are making. So it is high time that we go back and Islamic history. It's high time that we go back and read the history of Bharat. That Bharat is such an inclusive culture. भारत में कभी religion की कोई लड़ाई ही नहीं है. भारतीय मुसलमान को भारतीय कल्चर से इसलिए तोड़ा जाता है ताकि वो भारत से अगर जुड़ जाएगा, if a Muslim kid would love the motherland, the culture, the history, the heritage, the strong bond that we have with our roots, with our mitti soil, then they won't be able to use us as mental slaves. The Fatwa Brigade, just give me few more seconds. There is a Fatwa Brigade. They just want to control a Muslim mind. मुसलमान बच्चा वैक्सीन नहीं लगवा सकता, कॉफ सिरप नहीं पी सकता, हराम हलाल की इतनी लंबी लिस्ट है. We think that they are illiterate people. That's why they're doing it. No, they are doing it because they want to actually curb, they want to actually cripple the rationality of a Muslim mind. They want to cripple the decision-making power. They want to make them such a bonded labor kind of a person that they forget to know what is right and what is wrong. So please, we need to condemn Sartan Se Juda. We need to come forward and say that actually Gustakh-e Rasool is these conferences like Azmat-e Rasool. The actual Gustakh-e Rasool is terrorist organizations like Jaish-e Mohammed. वो हमें गुस्ताखे रसूल नहीं लगता. किसी के मुंह से गुस्से में, आक्रोश में या किसी परेशानी में, फीलिंग्स हर्ट में कोई बात निकल जाती है तो हमें गुस्ताखे रसूल लग जाता है. सो प्लीज आप इसको हमें खुद ही अपने अंदर जाके देखना पड़ेगा. There is some mistake that we are committing. There is some mistake that we are repeating as a society. तभी ये हमारे बच्चों के साथ हो रहा है. मनन करना पड़ेगा, इंट्रोस्पेक्ट करना पड़ेगा.
जी जी. No, introspect ke saath, like I said, we have to collectively call this out. The other thing is, Ameena ji, and N.K. Suji, I'll come to you after the lady finished their point of view, and then I'll come to you, Sud. Thank you for your patience. But Ameena ji, the other part is, masjid to ibadat ki jagah hai, where you go to introspect, you spiritually connect, you talk about good things, you leave the bad out and you talk about good. This is inside the Lal Masjid. The videos actually show inside the Lal Masjid in Islamabad. And then the other part which I continuously am shocked to see, that औरतों को जो कि नर्चर करती हैं, माँ का रोल जो अदा करती हैं, उनको जाके आप ये कह रहे हो कि काटना सीखो, और वो भी किसी एक और फेलो ह्यूमन बीइंग का गला काटना सीखो.
Thank you, Anand, for inviting me here, and so I can speak from the perspective of an Indian Muslim who want to see the change and reform in the Muslim community currently. So I think we should acknowledge the root problem here also. We cannot only go by the how geopolitics play, how the Sai war it plays into it, and how Islam gets politicized for the bigger agenda. The problem is that to politicize it, there should be also some root teaching which we are carrying forward, and we teach to our next generation, just like which I call a conditional violence. So in Islam, blasphemy is a subject of intellectual discussion rather than a subject of physical punishment. And you will get a lot of Islamic scholars to verify that. You can hear to the Maulana Wahiduddin Khan for the fact. But that doesn't happen. We see the form of blasphemy where we literally read, listen to, and discuss about it, how there should be punishment and physical punishment for the blasphemy. So that is the root cause. We have to discuss it as a community and condemn it, and totally remove this kind of teaching from our community. Then second part comes the politicization of Islam, and I think this is not only threatening to the India, dangerous for India, but also for the Indian Muslims. I mean, it would, what it will do to our children, what it will do to our next generation. They will just become a foot soldier for such a kind of idea, and they will commit such a heinous crime, which will only end up adding into the fault line. So, and I will go further and say, don't forget that what Zubair and Arfa and their mafia played the role, how they started this bloody blasphemy campaign. So we should, in fact, put our, put them into accountability. It gets started from the India, and then further Pakistani war side uses it. So we should look at a whole picture where we should discuss the root problem, and then how it gets politicized for the bigger agenda. Without that, we won't be success to find a solution. That's how I say it. So we have to look within the India, those mindset to place from their part within the India, and how it plays on geopolitical level. Without that, I don't think we find
true,
any
because
solution. So this This is what I think.
Somewhere, do you also feel that this political lines, and also the aspect of spiritual lines or religious lines get blurred? The other aspect is we don't have really a concept of ulama, but there are many groups and there are many people. Why should such people who encourage this kind of ideology be given a seat of control? Be allowed to play the role of somebody who can dictate and somebody who can take calls on behalf of the religion, who become agents of the religion or somewhere purveyors of the religion? Why should they be allowed? Shouldn't community stand up and say, no, I reject you because what you're telling is wrong? Or is that because people do not know? So as Subui Khan was saying, we need to actually educate people and we need to actually tell people what the religion actually means, and the fact that Islam actually evolved over 200 years. It evolved because it refined itself, and there were two streams, one that was aggressive, the other one that was spiritual. So what do we as a nation want to choose? Do we want to be Indonesia or do we want to be Pakistan? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. So Amina ji.
Yeah, bilkul, I agree to it, and we have to check what kind of education Deobandi Madrasa and they are teaching to their kids, because these people are only 4%, but they have the monopoly over the all masjid and mosques. And you know, when I know that most of the Indian Muslims don't go and pray for 5, but most of us go to the Friday namaz, and then they teaches the very stupid things and very base arguments there and violence in the name of the Islam. And let me tell you one very important thing. These people who study in the Deoband, they only read 1400 years ago history, and they only read about the Islam. They don't know anything about the science. They don't know anything about historical reality, geographical reality, or matter of the fact about the maths. And what we can expect from these people? These people bring all kind of conspiracy, which will be like, you would be laugh at those conspiracy. They openly says that the machinery of the Indian state, an atmosphere, subjugate the Indian Muslims. They propagate the victimhood and average Indian Muslims. They try to do everything so that their monopoly over the Muslim mindset can never be challenged. So I think we have to go there and now go through their what their interpretation of Islam. We should ask question to them. No, we cannot go like this violent interpretation where you teach to our children that it's okay to take, take a violence in your hand, to commit the violence in the name of the blasphemy. Not actually. Also, we have to teach Indian Muslims that we are living in a secular nation. We are not living in an Islamic state. So we have to first follow the law of the land. That is what should be very clear in Indian mindset, Muslim mindset.
But somewhere there is this attempt to try and use the law to push a particular ulterior agenda and then turn around and play victim card when you're caught out, or when it comes to choosing between law of the land. So when it is convenient, you are secular. When it is convenient, you are very clearly based on your theological root. So that's also a dangerous game that's played. That's a reality. But let's just look at how it's taken ground in India and why. And I go to Mr. N.K. Sood and then I'll go back to Mr. Tariq Fatah once again. See, Udaipur, Rajasthan, where the tailor Kanhaiya was murdered, that was the butchering. That's where we saw this all manifest. Before that, the chants had started. Before that, during the Ramnami celebrations, the chants had started across various places where the protests were being held. And there were many people who were calling it out on social media saying, आज अभी ये chant कर रहे हैं, कल ये किसी का गला काटेंगे, इनको बहाना चाहिए, ये तैयारी में लगे हैं. There were a lot of people who called this out, and it was all over the spread. Now, so if it happened in Amravati, then Hyderabad in Telangana, then Ajmer, Rajasthan, Jaunpur, Uttar Pradesh, Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Sood, why was this ignored, and why should this be allowed to take ground in India? Why is it that intelligence agencies that are monitoring everything, cops which are seeing everything, जब तक chant कर रहे हैं तो ऐसे छोड़ा जा सकता है क्या? Or should we turn around and say, listen, you can protest, but what you're chanting is dangerous, and tomorrow it will manifest somewhere. That action didn't happen. And social media, why can't we block? If a nation like China can block almost every other platform in the world, why can't we block vitriolic videos?
You see, situation with India is different. Our intelligence agencies have been giving inputs, and it is for the government or the local police to act on them. And sometimes our governments, state governments or central government, they are hesitant to take direct action because they feel that if we take direct action, there could be some repercussions. And secondly, whatever is happening in India, it is the kind of an ISIS ideology, which is imported from Pakistan, and now Turkey is also there. So these countries are trying to create different kind of situations. They try to destabilize India. They want that there should be violence in India. So that's the reason. And the government has to move cautiously. We cannot compare. You cannot compare India with China. China is different country. Nobody is there who can ask any questions from China. But people ask questions from India. When Nupur Sharma's case came, some of the Gulf countries, they asked India certain questions. Of course, India replied. They put Nupur Sharma out of the party. But I tell you one thing, that there are
but that doesn't stop us. But that doesn't stop us, Saab, from learning from. We don't need to be China. Sorry to interrupt you there, but we don't need to be China. But we can learn some of the things they are doing well. Content that doesn't come into our country, the government can block. The government can block content that is going to vitiate or which is against the ethos or culture of the country. It can allow all other content. And of course, we are a democracy and we will turn around. And anybody who crosses the line or hurts sentiments, we will apologize. We will take action because that's the beauty of our country. That's what who we are. And that's what we showed who we are as far as Nupur Sharma is concerned. So that's where we are different. But if there are certain executions which are something which we need to learn to create our own security doctrine, at any level, be it cyber or on territorial, we must learn from other nations who got it right to protect their civilization, their culture. Ji, please continue.
You see most of the countries, of the world. France is there, Germany is there, who have started taking action against these kind of people. But other countries like the US, they are not active. Now, there was a person who was involved in terror attack during 26/11, Mir Sajid. Pakistan had said he is dead, but now he is revived. And US has said, you put him in prison, we will take you out of FATF's grey list. And that's what the agreement is there. US and Western countries, they have to be more active. US has brought in a law on Islamophobia. Through that, they want to target India and its right. So these are the kind of things. We have to take care that we are not brought under the ambit of Islamophobia, which would affect our country's progress, our country's because they want to paint India in such a way. Of course, I appreciate a lot of Muslims in India, they understand the position, but they are not coming forward, and they cannot come forward because the people, Maulanas and all those people who are coming on channels, on TV channels, they are discussing certain things. So they are trying to be the real representative of the Muslims, which is bad.
But who are these people? See, the number. If the number of people who are moderates who reject this far outnumber this small group. See, even though this group is growing, it's still just less than 1% of the total base. But why can't the remaining 98-99% come out and totally call them out and reject them outright? See, the moment you reject them outright, you get a voice. You are cleaning them out. You clean out the narrative. Tariq Fatah Sahab, final comment. I'm running out of time and we leave with some big questions. But you've heard every other speaker. You have your views. What is it that we need to do?
You need to facilitate the creation of a Muslim, progressive, liberal, secular organization where Muslims fed up with these mullahs can collect and do it and connect with each other to give the real root of what is Hindustan, how Hindustan gave refuge to the Fatimids of Egypt, to the Yemenis, to the first mosque built anywhere in the world in Malabar, to how they've opened the door to the people. Look at Raja Dair, you've taken him out of your syllabus. I am surprised. He's a Hindu Raja who gave refuge to the people from Mecca who will be hunted down by other Muslims. India has not yet even stated its position as the world's only place where Shia Muslims could find refuge. No other place they could live. They would be slaughtered. You have the first mosque in the world in Malabar, near Cochin. You have to stand up and facilitate a body in which Hindus should be allowed to be in there Zoroastrian should be allowed, but it should be about Indian Islam. We can't simply erase history and say, oh, Maulana Azad did not consider Raja Dahir to be worthy of being in Indian history. Raja Dahir was the first man who combated the invasion of India, and he doesn't appear anywhere in Indian history. You cannot bend over and please mullahs and then put people like us or Salman Rushdie at danger.
Right. No, I totally agree. But this tribe has to grow, and there are many more. What we are trying to do here is take the right stand and try and get more people who reject these kind of thought processes, and also take some stringent steps. I think the government also needs to come forward and needs to very clearly come out and make a stated intent that anything that is vitriolic, anything that is against the culture and the ethos of our country will not be allowed. You don't even need to announce it. Just start doing it. Because content that doesn't come in, nobody will know about. And if there are elements, they need to be weeded out the moment they start making these movements and making these noises. We leave you with some questions as I thank all our guests, ladies and gentlemen. Some concerns, some big questions that arise. The first one, can such radicalization videos be technically blocked? That's the first question that comes to mind. Why should it even come into our streamlines, into our search strings, into our groups, be it on Telegram, Signal, whatever encrypted platform? It should not be allowed. The other thing, radicalizing women, turning a nurturer into a butcher. Is this a big, big worry? Is this a rising worry? Need for active, focused outreach to women in the community to tell them that if this is being brought into your house, reject it. Stand up against it, reject it. Because you have the say. You are the person who's responsible for how the household behaves. Can we empower and can we turn that responsibility into an effort, a concerted effort? Need for active counter mechanisms on social media. And more importantly, is this now emerging to be the choice that we as Indians have to make? The ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam versus this Ghazwa-e-Hind agenda. Who are we as Indians? That's the call we need to collectively make and then take the right stand. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, this entire Pakistani propaganda over a cricket match and a young, budding cricket player. But the devious agenda is K2. Kashmir and Khalistan. We draw the parallels between Shami and Arshdeep when we come back. Stay with us.